Every astrologist has a different way of viewing astrology and reading the different aspects, elements of a birth chart. And you know you found the right astrologist when you read their content, their newsletter, their socials, or whatever it may be. And you're like, wow, I feel like they are speaking to me. Astrology is something that is very personal, and I've had a couple different readings, and some just really ignite something deep inside of me because I feel really connected with that person. And honestly, the astrologists that I've really enjoyed connecting with or getting readings from the most are those who really mirror my own background. So, the two astrologists that I've had on the podcast, Cho, which is the interviewee of this episode, she is Korean American, and Aisha is Pakistani American. And I feel like through their lived experiences, their ancestry, from like a soul level, but also kind of like physical form in this lifetime, like really resonate with me. And the things they tell me, their interpretations feel that much more potent. And so in the second half of the episode with Cho of Astro Forecast, we talk about astrology as a tool for self-reflection because it really is a blueprint for our soul and how it helps you find your authentic voice. And of course, the other spiritual tools and practices that Cho has to really help grow her business. Because, like what I've always said, and if you've been listening to all the episodes, you know that starting a business is the ultimate healing journey. And so the more we heal ourselves, the more our business thrives because it's a reflection of ourselves. And that's something that I totally experience every single day. And I feel like these last few weeks and really just 2022 so far, I've really stepped into a different vibration as I'm more proud of the work that I do, that I've found my authentic voice and taking it one step further and sharing it. I'm being bolder. I'm letting my light shine brighter, and it feels good. It feels good. Astrology has really helped with that among many other different practices. And so we also talk about the science of our businesses, the importance of following intuition in our businesses, and a lot more. Okay, so your business is still new. It's a couple years old. I think we probably started our businesses around the same time. I started my business in, I'm like, what year is it?
What year is it now? We don't know.
I think it was, I started in 2018, but
Okay.
but I didn't do it full time until 2019.
Gotcha. Yeah. I started like late 2019. I really more did it 2020.
Okay, so roughly around the same time. And so how has using astrology and other spiritual tools and modalities like really helped you grow your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I feel like spirituality is something that has just helped me in general. And byproduct of that is helping me with my business. Because to me, like in terms of my spiritual practice, I really just approach it as a continuous cycle of healing, basically a continuous cycle of kind of facing our shadows or facing our difficulties in order to heal bits of ourselves that are still unresolved. And through doing that, I really try to imagine more of my higher self or more of my soul light coming back into my body. So I feel more whole in general. And so I feel like my spiritual practice is really just focusing on whatever I feel like needs healing in that moment. And when I do that, then things become better in my business and my relationships and all of that. But this year specifically, my spiritual practice has revolved around physical health actually, and feeling more comfortable and stronger in my own skin. So I've really been focusing on exercising more, specifically having a morning routine where I start the day feeling calm and grounded. Some of the things I've been doing are daily exercise in the morning, followed by meditation, breath work. And I also try to even kind of do rituals with water where I imagine my water being energized with higher vibrations and I drink it with gratitude. But focusing on my physical health, I realize is helping my business because it's making me realized that I need to be more strategic in how I spend my energy with my business so it can be sustainable, because I have been experiencing burnout. I have been experiencing, just workaholism essentially. And so I feel like healing my physical health has been also kind of showing me what I need to do next in my business.
That's great. And do you use journaling and meditation to help you figure out kind of like next steps? Because the biggest thing about kind of for those who are curious about what it's like to operate like a wellness, a spiritual business, but also those who are interested in starting one is if you come from a corporate background, it's really different. It's really different in how you create and operate. And I'm really interested to see like the shifts that you've had to make to kind of create your business and grow your business. But I've had to do things completely differently,
Yeah.
less masculine, more feminine. I'm only now stepping back into structure, but so much before was just like feeling and healing,
Yeah.
and just being okay that things like deadlines aren't being met,
Yeah.
and that I have to wait for the moment to like the creative moment to create something,
Yeah.
which is very different from a corporate structure. Very,
Oh,
very
you're so
different.
right. Exactly. And everything you're speaking to is my current challenge at the moment, because I will say I'm still having difficulty letting go of the masculine corporate side, because I am so used to like schedules and to-dos and like deadlines. And like I do beat myself up when I don't meet those deadlines. But I think that's part of the healing, the overall healing that I'm doing in terms of spirituality. It really helps to do the meditation, the prayers, all that stuff. But I feel like has really helped me is to journal, actually, and to consistently journal about where I want to be in my business. I'm trying not to focus too much on like numbers, but more about like how do I want to be feeling in my ideal dream business, and how do I want my clients to be feeling in my ideal business. Because the more I connect to that vision, the more clarity I just receive naturally on, okay, what do I need to do next to support that vision? It's not about like giving myself little things to do, but it's connecting to the higher purpose of what I'm doing, and then allowing that to guide my next steps. It's not perfect, but that's where I'm at right now.
I feel like it's working. I feel it because I'm a part of your community.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah. And yeah, that's good to hear, because sometimes during this work, you can also have imposter syndrome and kind of feel like, you don't exactly know what you're supposed to be showing up as, but that's good to hear that it resonates with you.
Yes, it's a constant battle with self and like the ego and your fears and anxieties. And so that's why I think as an entrepreneur, especially a solopreneur, to have these good practices in place, like allow you to cultivate a mindset and an energy that will help you grow. That'll help
Exactly.
you thrive instead of like put you down. And those are the biggest things that I'm working on. You know,
Yeah.
if you get a negative thought, you acknowledge it and you just need to put it away. You need to
It's
find
not
a
the time.
solution. You need to be like, okay, this is not great. What is it telling me? And like being less scared and being more curious when these things pop up.
Yeah, and seeing it as an experiment rather than, something perfect or something that you need to hit or something. And I feel like it's important for anyone who's an entrepreneur, even if they're not doing spirituality, because when you're an entrepreneur, it's like you are the vision for your business. And if you're not feeling good and your vision is not clear, then nothing else is going to click. And so taking care of you first is key.
Absolutely. All the startups I've been involved with that I've seen friends create or have worked at, it's actually quite surprising that many like aren't very clear or they don't feel as confident. Like I've seen a lot of that. They're just like, oh, well, this investor told me to do this or this mentor told me to do that. And I was like, it doesn't matter. It's like, what do you want? It is your vision. Like you hold the vision. So you hold the roadmap to the company. But more often than not, people they're insecure. They're like, okay, I have this idea, but people are more experienced. But experience has nothing to do with it. It's like feeling a strong connection to that product or to that service you want to bring into that world, like birth into the world, and doing it in an authentic way, which means like a lot of times means it's going to be done in a different way than what's already out there.
What the investors might say, exactly. And that's the difficulty that entrepreneurs can face, because they kind of have profit-driven goals and they don't think about like, is it really aligning to what I feel called to share? So that is really why spiritual practice is good for anyone, because it's really an exercise of connecting back with yourself. And so that can help you in all ways of your life.
Oh yeah, 100%. And something that I realized, I think it was like a year ago, was I was holding myself to corporate standards still.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's ridiculous. I don't have like that's anywhere near the same budget, but I'm like, okay, it has to grow at this rate. You know, my Instagram, I have to like put out this much content.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, wait, it's just me and like the team that I've hired. Like that's absurd. Like you have to,
Exactly.
like you said, really focus on how you want to feel in the business, how you want your clients to feel, and really prioritize like kind of day by day, month by month.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much more fluid
Mm-hmm.
than before.
Exactly. And yeah, it needs to be fluid because you are being guided towards your work by a higher purpose. And so you shouldn't feel like if not things are not happening based on, you know, corporate deadlines or what you think should be happening. I think spirituality also helps me trust that even if my results are not being met, that just means it's not the time for it right now, which again can be helpful to anyone in their work that you don't need to keep fighting against the current if it feels like it's resisting you, kind of just trusting that, okay, maybe it's time to let it go or to do something else, and to, yeah, not hold yourself to the standards of mega corporations or whatnot.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that I don't think you've mentioned this before, but I'm curious. Have you ever done the chart of your business, like the birth chart of your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is a concept that I found through Soulshine Astrology, who focuses on career. But I have made a birth chart for my business specifically, and I based the time off of the moment when I bought the URL, actually, which is one of the ways that Soulshine recommends to do it. There's many other ways, but like when you kind of like make um, a practical action and kind of like a tangible action towards starting that goal, whether it's like buying a URL or just kind of getting your Instagram page up or whatnot. But I have looked at it and it is really interesting. And I honestly need to dive more into it. But I definitely feel like it's a blueprint for what your business needs as an entity because we want to think of our business as being a living organism of itself. And in astrology,
Mhm.
one technique you can do is to also compare your business chart to your own chart and kind of overlay them on top of each other because
Like a
that can also,
like a
yeah, that's the
synastry, but different.
synastry, exactly. Synastry, which is relationship astrology, but with your business. And so it can tell you how you need to show up for your business to thrive.
As I asked you this question, you know, I haven't really looked in depth into the birth chart of my
Mm-hmm.
business, but I think to determine the time for everyone, it feels a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to think about it a little bit more after you shared like what you based your time off
Mm-hmm.
of. But for me, it was when I registered my business as an LLC
Oh, love that. Yeah.
because it's like really serious. For me, I was just like, okay, it's gonna be an LLC. I'm gonna have like an EIN.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have a business checking account, business credit cards. Like it's like you register your name, like you pay
Exactly.
like all the fees and all of that. And like, yeah, it's still sole proprietor, so it's really just kind of a legal thing. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm like, I feel like that's when it was like
Official.
serious.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm taking it seriously. I'm investing my time and money into it. So, yeah, that's a great time to pick for your birth chart. So, I'd be really curious. We'll have to discuss later what your chart
Oh,
looks like.
oh yeah, totally. What sign is your business?
Oh my God. I know it's a Scorpio sun.
Ah!
I know. Isn't that funny? Yeah. So, Scorpio is very psychological and kind of like intuitive, perceptive. I believe it also has a
Provocative,
Sagittarius rising. Provocative. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I really need to revisit
transformative.
it. Exactly, exactly. So,
I know for I just know the sun sign of it. I have to go back and look at that email because you get an email saying like thanks for registering. It has like you know
oh, yeah.
the email, the
Actual.
timestamp, so it's
Yeah.
very handy. I know mine's a Taurus.
Oh, interesting. So helping people build, a stronger foundation and also helping them do things practically. Like what do they need to do to actually turn their goals into reality?
More practically, but then I also feel like your business is a mirror.
Mm,
It's a mirror, and it's almost like I feel like entrepreneurship is a healing journey.
mm-hmm,
And Taurus, you know, is all about money.
mm-hmm.
So I almost feel like also it's like the belief that I can do something on my own. And I feel like the lessons that I'll have to learn, like the vibe is always going to be around money. So I had to look into the Saturn. I wonder if the Saturn's also going to be in
Yeah.
Taurus.
Some kind of like money related side. Yeah, exactly. Because people who have Saturn in Taurus, their return is going to be about reorienting their relationship to money because oftentimes we are a slave to money or we give it more power than it deserves. And we don't understand that we are the ones who bringing manifest abundance. And if we're not feeling high vibe, then we're not going to get the money and anything else that we deserve. And so, yeah, I think that is definitely interesting for you to check out.
Yes, so I will. And then I'll text you about it.
Perfect.
So, something that I've been really paying attention to this past like year and a half is the intention behind doing something, and the intention and
Mm-hmm.
the feeling. And early on in my business, it was much more about exploration and just kind of
Mm,
seeing like, throwing things at the wall, seeing like what sticks. But, after a year of doing that, I wanted to be much more intentional and much more
mm-hmm.
focused. And that's why, my business has gotten a little bit more niche, a little bit like I'm still talking about all the same things, but it's really much so more about like career and Saturn return.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious to know kind of like how, you've grown like in your business and how
Mm-hmm.
that happens in tandem like with your healing journey.
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I do feel like I went through a similar process as you, where in the first year of my business, it was much more about exploration and kind of just like putting myself out there and like seeing what people receive. But this year, I do want to, my focus is on building a sustainable business. And I feel like that doesn't happen without intention of what do I actually want to be putting out or what do I think is my personal message. So, um, with that, I will say the big thing I've been doing this year is scripting. So it's just really just journaling about the future and kind of journaling as if I'm already at that level and have achieved my goals. But setting the intention of like, what is my dream business and what am I actually trying to convey to my audience? With that, I've also been trying to do it on a micro level where I try to do this, but every day before I do any task, I try to think like, what are my intentions for this task, like this Instagram post or
Oh
this
yeah.
email, even like just little tiny things, right? Yeah, because I feel like our intentions are what create our reality, and so many times, through society, traditional values too, we kind of just like live life on autopilot. We don't set intentions behind anything. But with my healing journey, last year I feel like part of my healing was to show myself that I deserve to be heard, because in my childhood, I think also being a minority, I felt like I shouldn't speak out about certain things.
Hmm.
So last year was all about like kind of healing that side of myself, like healing my throat chakra, like showing myself that I deserve to take up space. And with that, I gave out a lot of content. Like I explored with contents I want to put out. Like I kind of gave out a lot of free content, and I felt called to do that at that moment. But this year, like I was telling you about before, my healing journey is now focused on my physical health and really feeling stronger in my skin. And with that, I realized that my business needs to become sustainable and needs to become more of a well-oiled machine rather than an experimentation. So my intentions have been to um, be healthier and be, just more aligned in my body. And with that, I feel like that means um, spending my time more wisely in business, spending my resources more wisely. And so I've done a lot of things differently this year because of that.
Yes. And it's funny that you talk a lot about like writing and scripting. I do that a lot as well, but I'm hitting a point where I'm like, I think I need to stop.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah, because I did it. I've been doing it for so long. And I look back with each new moon and full moon. I'm like, okay, I'm sick of this. I've been
Mm,
writing the same stuff for so long.
yeah.
And I'm just like, I think I just need to relax. I need to put this away.
Ah,
Like we are
yeah.
clear on the path forward. And
Mm-hmm.
with manifestation, like the more you fixate on something,
Mm-hmm.
it's harder for it to come in maybe different ways than you imagine
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be. And I know one of the summer lessons that I have, and I feel like it probably will continue for the rest of the year, is to be less serious and to
yeah.
have more fun.
I love that. Yeah. So I totally agree, because there are sometimes certain times when you introduce a spiritual practice or routine and it really helps you in that moment. But after a while, you realize like you've outgrown it, you don't need it right now. So I totally agree. I'm just getting more into scripting because I was like avoiding it. So yeah,
Oh.
so I feel like I'm like fully embracing that vibe now. But yeah, I totally agree that for you, maybe it's really just to trust that you've done all that you can do, and that, yeah, you don't need to force it either, because I feel like scripting can sometimes also kind of make you feel like this is a deadline or something I need to achieve and kind of
Yeah.
put us back into that corporate mindset when we really, it's a tool to help us let go of that by getting it out into paper. Um,
Yes, yes. And
mhm,
so, for anyone who's listening, they're like, ooh, like I haven't tried scripting or
mhm,
visualization or meditation or all these different things, like know that there's times when you're going to feel really connected
mhm.
to this modality, to this tool, and other times like you can't use it as a crutch.
Exactly. Yeah. I
Yes.
totally agree. And I even say that about astrology too, because sometimes people get hung up on like reading their horoscope every single day. And I feel like it just blocks you from being able to listen to yourself in the ways that you need to. So, yeah, I feel like whatever helps you kind of quiet your thoughts is kind of like the best thing to try. And oftentimes that's meditation. But so often we kind of like fill our heads with other people's opinions, even if they are astrologers or tarot readers or whatnot. And we
Hmm.
need to come back to ourselves.
Yes, and I think it's easy to kind of lean on, astrology, human design, or
Hmm.
something else. But it's so important to just always know to come back to yourself, like
Hmm.
through meditation or
Hmm.
just understanding that the more you focus on one of these modalities, like you may be forgetting to embody all the things like you're supposed to be
Mm.
learning and you're supposed to
Hmm.
be being.
Exactly. It can't be all just mental. It needs to be in practice as well. But that's interesting because I feel like that's a big theme of Saturn return as well, is kind of realizing that you need to do it on your own. And sometimes that can mean like you feel like people are not supporting you anymore and people are not willing to listen to you or to help you out. But again, Saturn return just shows you that you have what it takes to do it yourself.
I think it's also really beautiful because let's say you have a lot of naysayers or people who are
Mm,
questioning what you're doing. It helps you develop your own internal compass a
exactly.
lot more. It's not to say you're going to be stubborn. It's just like you are assured and sure.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, of this is like what you want to do. And that's very important, especially for women and of women of color or anyone who
Hmm.
kind of feels like they've like haven't been represented or been ignored in some way, shape, or
Hmm.
form, because then you become an advocate for yourself. You begin
Hmm.
to activate your voice, you
Hmm.
activate your intuition and your own strength. And
Hmm.
that's not just a benefit for yourself, but that's a benefit for everyone because it inspires other
Exactly.
people to do so as well.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Exactly. Because your pain is going to be your healing power, basically. And so, obviously, so many other people are going through what we have gone through in terms of our background. And yeah, just coming from a minority culture. But yeah, I definitely feel like more of us speaking up about it is going to bring healing collectively and also ancestrally as well with our lineage.
Yes, and that's something that we didn't even touch upon the
Mhm.
ancestral stuff. You not only have some ancestral baggage, but also some
Mhm.
good things with your physical body. So the incarnation you're in right now, but also spiritually as
Mhm.
well.
Wow, I don't even know about that. You'll have to tell me more later. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I can explain like really quickly. So you have your ancestry that's Korean,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
so there's a strong psychic line that flows like through that. But there's
Hmm.
also, like immigrants, being from an Asian country, being in America, there's like, baggage and trauma and
Hmm.
challenges we have to work through in that regard.
Hmm.
But then you have your spiritual being.
Hmm.
Okay, your spiritual being that has had many different lives, but has its
Uh,
own soul family as well.
I see, I see. Gotcha. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have lineage in both sides because we are our physical human bodies, but we are
Yeah.
also like really our spiritual, our soul selves. But we've
Yeah.
been plopped into this body to learn certain things and to bring certain things forward.
Exactly. So we have a physical family, like a spiritual family too.
And they intertwine.
Is that, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
They
just,
intertwine, but I haven't explored, so I can't really speak too much about how much they intertwine. Um,
and we can live more fulfilling lives when we listen to ourselves. And astrology is just one of the many ways to do that.
family, but not in your physical, like human family, but they might
Hmm.
show up as a friend or a mentor,
Interesting.
and you
Interesting.
feel strongly connected to them.
Hmm.
I think anyone, any place you have a strong connection to, um, is like kind of like a ping, a star for you to be like, oh, like to be curious about it and be like, ooh,
Yeah.
why do I feel so connected to this person or this
Yeah.
place or this thing? Because it's because you've done it before.
Exactly. And I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
goes for anything, like anything that you're really drawn to. It's like your higher self or your soul kind of like pushing you, being like, hey, this is important, or hey, like you had a connection there. Yeah, and again, like that's why spiritual practice is so important because it's so easy. I feel like with society to ignore the things we like and to ignore what we feel drawn to because we need to
Hmm.
like make money or do the rat
Hmm.
race or whatever it is.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
I completely agree. Okay, so how can people find you to learn more about astrology, how to use astrology for their benefit, career, love, abundance, whatever?
Exactly. Of course, you can definitely find me on my Instagram is where I'm the most active and I give weekly horoscopes and astrology lessons. And my handle is astro.forecast. And you can also find me in my membership program that Alice is a part of. We have a lot of fun there. It is the Lunar Mission Club at www.lunarmission.club.
Ah, amazing. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Alice. It was wonderful to chat with you.
Spirituality has really transformed my life. It was something that I was always looking for, but didn't know that I needed, and that's what I was searching for. It's helped me to really come home to myself, to develop more faith in my own abilities, as well as trusting that everything will be okay. Because ultimately, if that's the conversation, the narrative that's happening in your head, then everything will be okay. And being a spiritual person and having a spiritual practice allows me to be more clear, be more grounded, and to just feel more safe in my body and my mind. And it has helped me to cultivate a mindset that helps me grow and helps me feel expansive and abundant than, let's say, like scarcity or feeling anxious. Like it's just allowed me to be in a better mental headspace. And I know that when you're going through a spiritual awakening or kind of just like, in the beginning stages of dabbling it or really diving deep, it can feel pretty overwhelming. And know that I'm always here for you. So you can message me on Instagram or text me on my hotline, which is at 202-918-3414. If you find that you need more support and you would like to work with me one on one, I have my career clarity readings, which will help you figure out your next steps in your career or creating a business. And then, if you want to work with me longer term to really have a transformative experience or have someone kind of support you as you're going through a transition, you can work with me in 3-month segments or in a 6-month container. Those are options for you. And I see the transformation within the first few weeks of us working together. And I'm just always so grateful that I'm able to help people figure out what they want to do in their lives, figure out the businesses they want to create. Because I know it's not easy. I've done it myself. And really, my why, my life's mission is to help people move into alignment and help people, live a better life and start the businesses that they are scared to start, but they need to start. And if you know someone who would benefit from listening to one of these episodes, please send it their way. And if you haven't done so already, I would super appreciate a 5-star rating. It would mean so much to me. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon.